The Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. And we're going to mix it up today. You'd think it'd be Christy in Sex and the City and Matt with Prince of Persia. But Christy, what about The Prince of Persia?
If I can recall the plot, I will explain it to you. I'm not really sure that I understand what happened. It's kind of like the video game it's based on. You know, Jake Gyllenhaal plays this young orphan plucked from the streets, and he becomes the adoptive child of this king in 6th century Persia, and grows up to be Jake Gyllenhaal. They raid this town. They think there are weapons there that are being held secretly for supply to Persia's enemies, which all sound very familiar to us. And he ends up being framed for his father's murder and goes on the run with his sexy little princess and a bare midriff. And it's a video game, basically, in film form. Take a look.
Have you wondered how you could have found such a treasure? The gods have a plan for you, a destiny.
I've seen its power with my own eyes. Releasing the sand turns back time. Only the holder of the dagger is aware of what's happened.
How did you do that?
Only the dagger can unlock the sands of time. And there are those who would use this power to destroy the world.
Time will erase everything.
The only way to stop this Armageddon is for us to take the dagger to the secret Guardian Temple. We must take it there, Dastan.
You really enjoy telling me what to do, don't you?
Only because you're so good at following orders.
Yeah, don't press your luck.
Assassins.
They strike terror into the heart of all they cross.
Such a noble prince. Leaping to assist the fallen beauty.
Who said you were a beauty?
There must be a reason why you can't take your eyes off me.
All right, there you go. Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. Couple things that I'm sick of, guys. I'm sick of that generic foreign accent that she has.
Vaguely British.
Yeah, it's vague. What's her name? Gemma Arterton. Is that right?
She might actually be British, though.
No, I know, but it's not British. You know, it's not quite British.
What is it?
It's foreign. It's I'm from another land. That's what that accent is. I'm from 6th century Persia.
I think she's doing what's called the Mid-Atlantic.
Right.
The Shakespearean
She's from
actors
Baltimore?
I was going to say Mid-Atlantic is from Baltimore.
Right?
Oh, no, not a Baltimore accent. So I don't like that. But wasted in this movie, and you saw at least a couple of them there, are some, not just good, but great, like grade A. And almost character actors, but character actors plus people who have been asked to do a lot more than playing in Ben Kingsley, Alfred Molina, and a very underutilized Toby Kebbell, I think, in this movie.
Well, but to be clear, to your point about Kingsley and Molina, those are two guys who have a history of doing almost anything that comes their way. So I think that as much as they're underutilized, you know, Kingsley has done movies for Uwe Boll.
Yeah.
Right? Like
this is not an Uwe Boll video game adaptation, surprisingly.
Exactly.
It does not try to replicate the sensation of like being the first-person shooter by any means.
Right.
It's an actual cinematic thing with a structure.
Yeah, and those guys, by the way, weren't. I mean, Molina and Kingsley weren't really underutilized. They're just in it. I actually think they help enormously. Kebbell was underutilized. Yeah, I mean, look, if those guys had been cast without the significant budget, I think that clearly this had in order to get them, or the effort to get them, or selling them on it. And I agree. I mean, look, they want to get paid.
Right.
Alfred Molina's fun.
Yeah, Alfred Molina.
Ben Kingsley is totally over the top, though. Ben Kingsley is like chewing up scenery here, left and right.
I agree, but Molina's fun, and you know when you meet Molina that he's coming back and that he's too funny to be a bad guy. And
he likes ostrich races. How bad could he be?
Yeah, how bad could he be?
He's a fun guy.
He's a suicidal ostrich.
Who doesn't love gambling? So, but I thought that even though Kingsley does chew up scenery, I agree, and he is over the top, still his presence and Molina's presence, and I like Toby Kebbell a lot. And
but can you recall a half an hour after this film ended what it was about? Like, did it have any kind of emotional impact on you at all? Because not me. It's all that fakey, glossy CGI nonsense. This divorce from reality. Ugh, boring.
You know, I won't say that there was any kind of emotional impact. At no point was I on the edge of my seat thinking, oh, what's going to happen now? There's no tension in it. It doesn't work that way. But that being said, I kind of enjoyed this movie. I'm almost embarrassed to say it.
You're among friends. It's fine.
For the same reason that I like a movie like The Scorpion King. It's completely throwaway fluff, but it's kind of fun to watch. I didn't really have a problem with it. I mean, I thought that, okay, there's a serious, to me, lack of chemistry between the two leads, between the Prince of Persia and the Princess, between Arthurton and Gyllenhaal. There's nothing there between them. But that's okay. The fight scenes are kind of fun. And, the plot is weak. Things just happen. Not much really serves to drive the movie forward. But I felt like that was okay with me. I was and I don't know what it was. I don't know why I was so forgiving of this movie. But the overall package, I guess partly having watched so many video game movies that are so often so bad, this one's not terrible.
Yeah, I agree. There wasn't any. I don't think there was any chemistry between them. I don't know whether there was. The tension was, if there was any tension, it wasn't tension. It was guessing. And I did go a little back and forth because, and I don't want to give it away, but I went back and forth on whether Ben Kingsley was a good guy. I went back and forth on whether the soon-to-be king was a good guy. I went back and forth on whether the other brother, Toby Kebbell, was a good guy. And I was a little like, huh. I mean, who's going to turn around and be on Jake Gyllenhaal's side?
Actually, I did the same thing, and that's one of the things I liked about this movie is that it wasn't so obvious who your villains were, right? It was a little, as much as you kind of can figure, okay, you cast Ben Kingsley in a role like that, chances are he's going to be a bad guy, but the other brothers,
you don't know about Ben Kingsley because in the beginning, when they pick up the kid as an orphan, he helps him on the horse. He got a big smile, like, I like that he's the. I don't know. Throughout. I'm not sold on Ben Kingsley either, and there are a couple of twists there.
I don't know. I found it so forgettable.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. This ended for me about. I saw it about 50 minutes ago. I can't even remember the title. So I mean,
there's a colon in the title.
No,
there's some punctuation somewhere.
And I have to point out, and I'm not going to spoil it, but being that the main device, the main plot device is about this dagger that can turn back time.
Which is valid.
Either 30 seconds or apparently
a very long time.
Near 100 years.
A very long time. That how it gets used at the very end, I actually kind of liked.
Yeah, but there was no.
It's really silly. It's really kind of stupid.
Why was it able to be used that long then? And another, I don't know.
I'm not really sure what happens at the end. It's like this giant swirling cacophony of noise and light and sand.
I will admit, it's one of those movies that does kind of set up rules and then breaks its own rules with the use of the dagger and the penalties involved in misusing it. But you know what? I didn't care.
You're a little like me, though. Yeah, you are forgiving of and a big fan of any kind of time travel.
I guess so.
I like time travel.
I like when Jake wears the dagger in his pants and the handle is sticking out in a totally obviously phallic way. No, I mean, I was so distracted by that.
I think this is completely schlocktastic, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's schlock. Right. In 10 years, no one's going to remember this. And in good conscience, I can't give it a really high score because it is a bad movie, but I enjoyed it, and so I have to at least give it a 5, which is kind of right at the edge of go ahead and see it for me.
Okay. I give it a 3.7. I think they didn't have great chemistry, but they had some nice banter here and there, some kind of like old Hollywood adventure style banter. Jake has been to the gym and he learned some parkour for the role. I like him as an action hero in this because he doesn't have a very traditional action hero kind of presence about him. He's not a Hugh Jackman or a Gerard Butler or whatever. Sort of a sweetness and a goofiness about him and about those big blue puppy dog eyes of his. So I kind of like him in it because he's unexpected. So 3.7 for me.
But other than him, nothing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. I liked the parts of him as an action hero too. There's something different and appealing about him as an action hero. But like some of the other effects, like when they use the dagger or when the sand is collapsing, I thought blew and seemed incredibly fake and weak CGI. So I don't know. It's directed by Mike Newell, which didn't seem like the kind of guy who would.
So random. Well, he did do one of the Harry Potters, one of the weaker Harry Potters.
That's
the fourth
true.
One. But he also did like 4 Weddings and a Funeral and Donnie Brasco.
Donnie Brasco, yeah. So, but I think going what you expect from this kind of movie, I'm going to side with Matt. It's fine. Go see it if you like this kind of movie. I gave it a 5.
Wow.
As I've said before, you could ask me 3 weeks from now, somebody will say, "Oh, did you see Prince of Persia?" And I will say, "No, I don't think so."
You have to use the dagger, go back in time and see it again.
And make yourself not see it this time.
But it was fine. It was better than I thought. It was fine. I gave it a 5. That brings the overall rating of Prince of Persia to a 4.6. I don't know. Not bad. I mean, actually a little bad, but not
Fair.
not
Fair.
horrible.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.